I think that we could have our own, not world championship, but American championship. And then maybe a group would expand to a world championship sort of scenario. We could build from there, and that would be something that would be pretty spectacular.
Hello, welcome along to the Tungsten Talk here at the MODUS Super Series on Pluto TV, where we're having a look into the life of times of various darts stars. And we've got one of the stars from North America with us today. It is Gary Mawson who's with us. Now, you and Paul Nicholson have gone back a long way. Am I right in saying, Nico, that you guys go back to the very beginning of your days in the PDC?
Yeah, I mean, you think about when Gary made the final of the UK Open, I was only just coming through then. So seeing someone doing what he was doing, that's what I wanted to do. So I looked up to people like Gary. And when I was in my teen years, I was watching stuff on Sky Sports with the PDC thinking, these guys from North America, they can play. And they're propping up what is a promotion which is still trying to find its feet. These guys are important. So when I eventually met Gary and spent a bit of time with him, we've known each other for a good 15, 16 years now.
I remember we just had a chat, didn't we, downstairs, we introduced one another. You said, I can only imagine if I could see something like this or played in something like this 30, 40 years ago. Your story in darts, where did it begin? When did you first pick up a set?
Oh, first time playing darts? I mean, my parents are British. We played at the house when I was in my teenage years. But my first job was at a English pub called Mr. Pickwick's. And I played darts, but didn't play them properly. Used to stand on the other side of the room and throw. You know, it's crazy. But when I finally found out about it, you know, was standing at the line and learning about the game, I started to meet the local players and, you know, I got into it a little bit more, got my own set of darts, and just it went from there. When I finally went to a tournament, and I really liked the adrenaline rush from playing in tournaments, and I just took off from there.
So is it fair to say that it was a case of just one thing leading to another, pretty much?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you get a, it's like an adrenaline rush, and you want more and more and more. And I played other sports. I stopped playing those sports to play darts.
What kind of sports were you playing as a youngster?
Oh, I played ice hockey, lacrosse in Canada, box lacrosse, and you know, I golf. Don't play as much as I used to, but I mean, darts just took over. I just wanted to play darts.
It's a little bit different, isn't it? You play ice hockey, you're trying to bump people into the boards, and lacrosse is somewhat ice hockey on grass in the same sort of way, very physical. So playing darts instead of those sports, I suppose injuries were a lot less likely.
Well, you don't try to hit them, you hit them, or else you're not going to last very long. But yeah, no, it's surreal. Like darts, there's no defense. It's just you. It's either you do it or you don't do it. So there's either great highs or great lows. So, but it's the game. I mean, you can play for hours and hours and hours, and you just don't want to stop until your body gives up to go rest and get up and pick them up again. I just love the game.
I get the feeling that whatever it is in life, you've got this very competitive edge about yourself.
Oh, I want to win. I want to win everything I do. Even with the wife, I gotta beat her. It's anything. But Paul's you want everything you can get out of it. But at the same time, I've said it 1,000 times. I'd rather hit a 26 every time than lose my arms in a train wreck. Because I just love to play, and that's the bottom line. Just enjoy the game.
And it's such an infectious action. I know we've had Martin Adams here a fair few times at the Super Series, and he speaks about the same thing as well, that for as long as he physically can play, he wants to play. And it's nice to see players like Gary, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning, obviously now you've played the game for a number of years, and that love and that infectious nature about the game is still there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there, and maybe myself included to a certain degree, we take the skill of being someone who can throw darts accurately somewhat for granted. So the only way to understand how gifted we are is to think about what Gary's just mentioned. If you didn't have the skill anymore, I guarantee you would miss it immediately. So when you throw darts and you hit a 180 or hit any sort of shot, just don't take for granted that that is something that is very privileged.
I want to talk about the dart scene in the United States of America, because right now it's as good as it's ever been. But when you started playing the circuit, started traveling to playing things, what was the scene like in the United States?
Well, I mean, you say it's the best it's ever been. It was pretty good back in the day. I mean, we had this kid come up, John Pard, who ended up having a successful career. I mean, there was a lot of great dart players, and some of them are still playing the game. But there are a lot of new players, but there's more opportunities. And John and I can remember traveling 3 times a month back and forth to the UK. And these days, a lot of guys aren't coming over like they could, but because there's more opportunities at home. So we'll see. Hopefully we can, like the World Championships, it's expanding. We can get more American, Canadian players in there from the CDC, and let's hope it happens.
You think about some of the players that really did lay the groundwork for North American darts. You think about Nicky Vrashkel back in the late 70s and early 80s. I mean, he made a semi-final of one of the very first World Championships. So for you, when you were coming through at that point, playing as a youngster, who was the first player that said to you from a TV set, I want to be like them?
It's funny. I mean, all my family are from over here, used to come over here, and I saw Keith Deller and Eric Bristow on TV, and, I didn't know them from a hole in the ground because I didn't play darts then. We did what was called the Britannia Show over in Canada, where they would bring over Coronation Street stars. They bring over a dart player. And Leighton Reese came over the one year, and I got to play with him in pairs. And we did a little exhibition thing. And, I'm really a nobody, and played George and Nigel Hyde. And George Hyde from News of the World days is well known. And I remember I had 60 left, and he told me to go for 3 double tens, and I did it, and I actually hit it, and it was quite inspiring. So I remember Leighton Reese from way back when, and having that opportunity, and a couple of years later moving to England and actually beating him at Trentham Gardens. It was pretty crazy. Incredible. But yeah.
You mentioned a lot of the traveling that you had to do early on in your career, and Paul mentioned it a little bit earlier on, that when the PDC started, when it was then the WDC, they didn't have the full quota for all of their events. A lot of players from North America would fill up added spots. They'd play in the World Championships, so it'd be at the Circus Tavern, and then the Winter Gardens for the World Match Play. What are your memories of playing PDC darts and making those early journeys over?
Well, the way you said that, I don't think that's true. We Americans didn't fill in the empty spots. Back then, British players couldn't play here. They had to go over to America, and that's where the ranking points were from. So the rankings were based on how those players did, as well as the Americans, and that's how Americans got in. They didn't just get put in. So when I saw that they played the first match play, I quit darts for a year. And then I saw the 11 Americans that were in, and I said, well, I'm getting in that. And within the next year, I made the top 32. Tommy Cox called me. I got into the 95 match play, and, then the rest was history. So, yeah, I'm trying to remember what the original question was. It was just the way you worded the Americans getting placed in there. But yeah, it was an amazing. I mean, what Tommy started was just amazing, and was very happy to be a part of it.
How big a thing was it when Larry Butler won the 94 match play? Because everybody expected probably Phil Taylor or Dennis Priestley to win that tournament, but Larry winning it somewhat unexpectedly. Just what did that do for North American darts at the time?
Well, I mean, obviously, it was a huge event for Larry to win, and it brought, the reality that maybe somebody else other than a British person could win, which we've seen in later events with the Dutch and the rise of many other countries. But yeah, no, it started something, and it it didn't go as fast as it maybe should have, but eventually, we had a John Part victory in a world championship, and it seems to have grown from there, but maybe not as much as it should. I'm hoping that it's going to really start, but maybe it'd be a little late for me.
Well, we'll talk a lot more about your career, some of the highlights, some of the great venues you played at, some of the great players that you've played against in just a second. But we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll catch up more with Gary Mawson talking about his career highlights. Welcome back to the second part of this Tungsten Talk here on Pluto TV. We have Gary Mawson with us here in the studio talking about his career. Before the break, we were talking about your debut at the World Match Play, and we're going to talk about your debut at the World Championship. First of all, what was it like when you walked into some of those iconic venues, particularly the Winter Gardens in Blackpool?
Oh, the Winter Gardens was amazing. I mean, at first when I saw the tapes of the walk-ons, I was a little nervous, I guess. But once I got there, I grew 3 inches. That's what I said. I said, this is amazing. This is where I want to be. And going up there, and then I played Phil Taylor, who was a friend of mine at the time and didn't think anything of it, and went up 3-0 on him and thought, well, this is easy. Well, I learned the hard way that it's not that easy. And he got me 8-5, but it was a great experience.
Was that you mentioned watching the 94 match play was kind of what inspired you to get back into it. Was playing in the match play in 1995 really what gave you mentioned that you love that thrill of competition. Was that what really gave you that thrill to say, right, I really do want to do this now. I really want to try and compete in as many events as possible?
Well, yeah, I mean, the desire was to get there. When I got there, I immediately got invited to the Grand Prix at the time, which was pairs. It was just an automatic entry. So it was already carrying on. It wasn't like it is today, So it was just, 100%. And then from there, it was qualifying for the World Championships, which I'd already done. And yeah, it just snowballed. And I couldn't ask for a better career.
How difficult was it doing the travelling when you're going over from the United States to the United Kingdom on a fairly frequential basis, particularly to play in the major events?
Well, I mean, I don't have to fly the plane, so that was a bonus. But yeah, it's going back and forth. But luckily, I had somebody to travel with. It was great. We could share expenses as well as just accommodations and just having somebody there. Yeah, it's a long way to go, but I also have family here and everything else, so I could actually come and visit and just relax more than say somebody that's never been. So yeah, I didn't mind it, but yeah, trying to do it 3 times a month is tough. Like somebody that would be in a Premier League, like what John did, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I like coming over here.
And it's interesting as well because we mention a lot when we're on commentary or punditry about players that come over from mainland Europe to play in a competition like this. But for a lot of players back in Gary's day to play in major events, some of the travelling that they did, probably a lot of the UK-based players and maybe even the European-based players take for granted a little bit.
Oh, they absolutely do. And you talk about modern players like Jeff Smith, and there have been other Canadian and American players who've given great sacrifices, people like Danny Baggish and John Part constantly for a long period of time, and Gary's done it for an awfully long time as well. It's something that we have to respect. Being able to travel transatlantic is not an easy thing. Constant jet lag, never being at home, missing family, but all for the cause and all for the drive of wanting to be in competition. I went to Holland with Gary once and shared a room with him, and I've never seen anybody fall asleep so quickly. It was incredible. But at that point, I thought he must be exhausted from this trip, and we had to play the next morning. And I thought, this is tough. And we had to get to Newland in the Netherlands, and we thought that was a tough trip. It really wasn't, and there was a great deal of perspective for me that weekend.
In terms of your career, 6 World Match Play appearances, 7 World Championship appearances in the PDC. How would you reflect upon you at times when you played in those particular tournaments or those iconic venues?
Miserable. I lost. No, absolutely fantastic. The opportunity to play in a World Championship's great. I've done it 7 times. It's, I mean, and the match play, I mean, that is, and it's so hard to get to now. I mean, what you've got to do to get to the match play, you know, I don't envy players, but you get a shot, you go for it. That's all I can say, because it is surreal. It really is amazing. And I mean, I remember, God, the Grand Prix, standing outside, handing out tickets to people to get them to come in and watch, to now, they're selling out in minutes. Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely amazing what, you know, Barry Hearn and company have done with the PDC, and just I can't wait to see what the future holds, and when I'm sitting back not being able to play anymore.
Is there any matches from those particular venues, the Circus Tavern and Blackpool, that you look back quite fondly at?
Wow. I remember very close to the 9-darter before Phil hit it. I hit 7 trip 20s, and I wired a trip 19, which would have given me that 100,000 before Phil got it. I mean, over my career, I mean, obviously making the final of the UK Open was quite fantastic. Beating Raymond, I mean, but like I said, I beat him 3 weeks before in the US Open, and it, you know, to everybody else, yeah, it was, oh, you beat Raymond Van Barneveld, but I'd done it before. I'd beaten Raymond before that. It was great, but losing was tough. I mean, it's so close, 4 legs away. But, you know, I'll always remember it as a great day, great weekend.
And going into that particular tournament, you were in a rich vein of form, as you mentioned, had a really good run at the US Open prior to that. And some of the names you beat in that week, I suppose Van Barneveld is the one that stands out. It was on a 16-game unbeaten streak at the UK Open going into that, never lost at that particular tournament. But it wasn't just Raymond that you beat in that tournament. There were some really big names, wasn't there, along the way that you managed to get through, to get into that final against James Wade. Yeah,
I mean, the funny thing was, nobody had a dart to beat me except Mark Dudbridge.
Yes.
And he missed a 156. And I'd already missed 1 dart at the double. And I took it out. Yeah, I took it out right away after that. So that was the only one, but that one stands out the most. But everybody else I beat, you know, fair and square.
Everybody seems to forget as well that if you're beating someone like Mark Dudbridge at the time, he was a world finalist just 2 years before that. And I remember that Barneveld game, watching that thinking, wow, Gary, what are you about to do? And then James Wade in the final, he was the guy that would sweep up if anybody else took out the really, really big names. So you look at what Gary did, taking out Barneveld, Taylor was taken out, so James came in and took advantage of the fact that Gary had done all the yard work. But I think at the time, because we wanted a big story in darts, most people wanted Gary to win that final.
That's probably the biggest moment you had in the PDC major. But outside of that, you had real success in North America over a number of years. Won the Las Vegas Open on a couple of occasions back in 1996. So you did so in 2013, didn't you, by hitting a 9-darter as well?
Yeah, Wes Newton, who I saw this weekend and almost played, but he lost. That was a lot of fun. I mean, Vegas is always great. So, I mean, hitting a 9-darter is always extra special as well. So that was, a good win.
You won a lot of titles in your career. Is that the one you rate highest, or is there something else that you won that you think, actually, that's the one that I cherish more than any other?
You know, I probably should have thought about this a little more. There's so many, you know, there's smaller ones but they meant a lot, and I got to repeat them. I mean, gosh, I honestly, I can't even think right now. I mean, the UK Open, that was great, but I didn't win. I've just enjoyed every one of them. I mean, they're all the same.
You were back in the winner's circle last year on the CDC tour, and obviously at the age of 60, still winning. There's a lot made about Paul Lim winning at the age of 70 in Mongolia last year, but you're 60. There's still a long time to go, Gary.
Oh gosh, really? No, yeah. Oh, yeah. God, it just doesn't seem right. But in the players' room downstairs, looking at these guys that I've got to play against, and I feel old. Oh my God, what group did you put me in? Right? Like, I know there's older players that can play in this, but yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. It'll be fun. But yeah, CDC, yeah, there's some great victories there too.
Tell me about the CDC, because Peter Cetera, he's always at the World Championship at the end of the year, and he's trying to support the guys who qualify from North America. United States, Canada, he's looking to branch out into different territories to find other talents like Rashad Sweeting from the Bahamas, and looking into South America now. Just how big a job have they got on, and how well have they done?
Oh, they're doing fantastic. I mean, we're 10 years in. We're trying to grow it by expanding to more events, but it's very hard with a country the size of North America. So, you know, be patient, but there is progress. I mean, look at where we've come from the beginning, and I only, you know, wish Peter and company the best with what's happening, and I hope to stay a part of it for a long time.
Just finally, how would you like to see the future of darts in North America? Where do you think it can go? What type of ceiling do you think it's got?
Well, I think that we could have our own, not world championship, but American championship that would, you know, escalate players locally to do something, and then maybe a group would expand to a world championship sort of scenario. But if we can have that growth in each state, per se, we could build from there, and that would be something that would be pretty spectacular.
Gary, it's been an absolute pleasure talking about your life in darts, some of the career highlights, some of the great achievements. It's been great chatting to you, Paul. Thank you as ever. Thank you so much for watching this edition of the Tungsten Talk here at the MODUS Super Series.